Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the EOB Podcast. So last weekend we have the release of two movies. One is Venom and the other one is A Star is Born. Let's see how those movies did at the box office. Alright, so let's get started. Coming in at number one is, unsurprisingly, Venom. The movie is based on in the Spider-Man universe. That takes place in the Spider-Man universe. Remember, if you've watched the previous Spider-Man movies, this character played by Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, right? He plays Eddie Brock as a fellow reporter who got in contact with a symbiote. And he got infected, and he's going crazy, I guess, because this other entity is invading his mind and is causing him to do violent things, right? And the people who initially captured the symbiote want it back, and they went on this chase, right? And they escaped. It's basically a chase movie, right? Okay, so. The movie pulled in 80 million in its opening frame. It opened way higher than what I projected to open to. I said it would probably open to about 60 to 65 million, mainly because it is Venom is kind of an unproven character, right? Because and it is developed by Sony. I believe this is before they hand over. Venom is developed before they hand over the reins, kind of creative control, over to Marvel. And this is still a movie from the old regime where they created one Spider-Man movie after another, and after like 2 or 3 movies they rebooted the series with a new actor. And this is still under them, and that's why I had my projection so low, because like I said, untested, old regime, but the movie has Tom Hardy, so I said 60 to 65, which is a decent estimate for a movie spin-off kind of like this, right? Like Venom. But it performed way better than my projections. The budget for the movie is I believe 100 million. Ruben Fleischer directed the movie. He did Gangster Squad, Zombieland. And for Sony to have another successful franchise based on their Marvel properties is good for them, because remember, they only have rights to characters in the Spider-Man universe, and that's why and they couldn't expand beyond that. Now with the new deal with Marvel, now they could include I guess do some crossovers, because they have an agreement between companies to I guess have characters. Spider-Man appears in like the Avengers movie, and other characters appear in the Spider-Man movies, like Iron Man, right, in Spider-Man Homecoming. Now they have a new character, Venom, that they could I guess build a story arc out of, right? They they're doing one. Or they planned to do one with like the Sinister Six or something, this Venom organization, but they scrapped that, I believe, or they're putting it on hold. So, but Venom, I believe, give them new hope that, hey, they could do something. That's not Spider-Man. So I guess this is a good opening for them. Review wise, it's not that well reviewed, 31% on Rotten Tomatoes, and B+ cinema score. So critics and audience alike thought it was kind of but again, like, this is a superhero movie, right? It has no competition right now. It's the only game in town, and it could hold up well, because it is a superhero movie, right? And those are in vogue right now. And Tom Hardy, hey, he can pull them in. But let's see how this movie hold up in the second weekend. All right, coming in at number 2, which is I think is a surprise of last weekend, is A Star is Born. It pulled in 41.3 million, over the weekend. A movie I said would probably open to 15 to 20 million. Way off there. I didn't expect this movie to be that popular. Bradley Cooper co-wrote and directed this movie, co-starring Lady Gaga. So there you go. Sam Elliott, Dave Chappelle is here. Andrew Dice Clay, among others. So, Bradley Cooper plays an aging musician who discover Gaga's, right? She's, an aspiring actress, while his career is, on the downs, hers going up. So there you go. And he's struggling with alcohol as well, has a drinking problem. Well reviewed, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, A cinema score. But again, I expect this movie to review well and play well with the audience, but I didn't expect this movie to open so huge, right? 15 to 20 million, was my, estimation, but this movie opened way higher, 41 million. So there you go. So I expect this movie to stay in theaters, maybe because Lady Gaga has a huge following. Again, like I said, this is Lady Gaga's not new to acting. She has the TV show American Horror Story, right? So she's not new to this. Again, she's playing a musician. How far off is that, right? So Star is Born, very successful movie, 41 million opening. Let's see, number 3 as Smallfoot. Pulled in about almost 15 million in its second weekend, drop off 35% from its previous weekend, and domestic gross is about 42 million, and worldwide is at 76 million. And this is a movie that I thought could open higher, right? But it opened to a little bit lower than my projection. I said it could probably open to 25 to 30 million, but it opened to 23 million. So number 4 is Night School. It was the number 1 movie last weekend, but it fell 55% to pull in 12.3 million in its second weekend. The domestic gross right now is about 47 million, but just only about 30 million. Hey, it's a successful, Kevin Hart movie, because I said the movie could probably open to 15 to 20 million, but it opened higher. It opened to 27 million. All right, let's go to number 5, which is The House with a Clock in Its Walls, which is a Jack Black movie. He has one coming out this weekend. So this is another movie. It pulled in 7.3 million in its third weekend. Domestic gross is about 55 million on a budget of 42 million. And worldwide is it's nearing 90 million. All right, number 6 is the Paul Feig thriller. It pulled in 3.4 million in its fourth weekend, about 47% drop off from the previous weekend, and about 50 million domestic gross so far. And worldwide it is at 76 million. Let's see, number 7, it is the horror movie The Nun. It pulled in about 2.6 million. 113 million so far in domestically, and worldwide it is at 347 million. So another successful entry in the Conjuring universe. I think it's one of the highest probably Conjuring movies ever, right? Let's take a look. The Conjuring. The Nun. Okay, so it's second in domestic gross, but worldwide it is tops. All right, but it'll probably surpass the Conjuring in the coming weeks. All right, number 8 is Hellfest. It's another horror movie. It pulled in about 2 million in the second weekend. About almost 60% drop off. 8.9 million domestic gross so far in the budget, but the budget is only 5 million. All right, number 8 is another horror movie, Hellfest. Pulled in about 2 million in second weekend, almost 60% drop off. About 9 million domestic gross, in 2 weeks. So it's okay. The budget is only about 6 million. So as long as it stays in theaters, it's gonna make money there, and then it's gonna go to streaming, home video, what have you. All right, number 9 is Crazy Rich Asians. It's putting about 2 million in its 8th weekend. Domestic gross right now is 169 million. It's going to probably cross 170 million probably today or tomorrow. Crazy Rich Asians is touted as like the first movie in 20 years to feature an all Asian cast, and they greenlit the sequel. With a success like this, they're crazy not to do one, right? So it proves that, hey, movies with an Asian cast can work. All right, number 10 is The Predator. It pulled in about 900K in its fourth weekend. It's dropped off pretty rapidly. domestic gross is about 50 million. The budget is 88 million, so it's not going to be as successful as Fox had hoped, right? And worldwide, it is at 123 million. So, I don't know if we're going to see another the Predator 2, but I'm sure they will make one, because the Predator is kind of like a cult movie. Even though it doesn't work well in theaters, it's probably kind of like watched on streaming and home videos, etc. right? All right, it's one of those movies. All right, so that's it for the top 10. Let's move on to the new releases this weekend. We're going to have 3 wide releases. We're going to have Bad Times at El Royale, and then First Man and Goosebumps 2 Haunted Holloween. Okay, let's start off with Bad Times at El Royale. So the movie is directed by Drew Goddard. He did Cabin in the Woods, right? The movie stars Dakota Johnson, Chris Hemsworth, John Hamm, Jeff Bridges, Darlene Sweet. This it has a kind of a Quentin Tarantino vibe to it. Reminds me of movies like Dragon's Gate, Hateful Eight, right? This one is about a group of people that converges on a motel, and they all have this past that will get revealed later on, right? This probably a shootout involves that somehow. Well reviewed right now, 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I don't know if this movie can separate itself from this crowded weekend, right? We still have Venom, we still have A Star is Born, we're gonna have Goosebumps 2 and then First Man. So even though this movie might be well reviewed, it might not separate itself, differentiate itself, but it could appeal to people who, like I say, are interested in those Tarantino movies. But as for how big of an appeal it has, I don't think its appeal is that wide. So I think the opening is probably going to be around 8 to 10 million, maybe in the lower end of that. All right. Let's move on to First Man, directed by Damien Chazelle, I believe. He did La La Land and Whiplash. Stars Ryan Gosling, Claire Foy, Jason Clarke. It's about Neil Armstrong and the NASA space program to send him up to the moon. As the first moon landing. It's well reviewed right now on Rotten Tomatoes, 88%. Space movies has been doing well in theaters recently, like Gravity, Interstellar, The Martian. But then again, crowded weekend. It's probably gonna get dominated by Venom again. I think it's probably gonna repeat itself as the top movie this weekend. So I think this movie could probably open somewhere in the 15 to 20 million range, unless I'm wrong. It could go up higher, but for me, I think 15 to 20 million opening for First Man. All right, let's move on to our final movie. Is Goosebumps 2 Haunted Holloween. Like I said, another Jack Black movie. He starred in the first one. Ari Sandel directs, right? Kim Jong is in this one. The first movie back in 2015 opened to 23 million. It went on to make 80 million domestically, 150 million worldwide, and it's well reviewed, 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's why we're seeing a sequel. From the trailer, it looks pretty fun. It's a fun movie, family movie. It's kind of like in direct competition with the House with a Clock in its Walls, but that has been in theaters for a couple of weeks already. Yeah, I think this movie is going to do well. It's going to open well. I think it's going to open higher than the first movie, so I'm going to give it a sequel bump because of how well the first movie did. So 30 million opening for Goosebumps 2 Haunted Holloween. All right, a quick one this weekend. That's it for this podcast. Let's see how I did with my projections in the next podcast. Until then, see you. Bye bye.